if it doesn't. Nation.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
This is Joe.
Well, whoopsie freaking do!
And this is Rich.
Stupid. A person below normal intelligence.
And this is... the monthly... Ish.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. Now don't call me Shirley.
Mother.
It is pointless to resist.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Nothing is worse than having an itch you can never scratch.
Hello and welcome to the Monthly Itch. This is episode number 1, and this is my good friend
Joe,
and I am Rich, and we are bringing you a brand new podcast. This podcast covers basically stuff that we are interested in.
Yeah, it's pretty much just going to be a podcast of two idiots' opinions.
Yeah, you can say it, definitely.
It's pretty much that in a nutshell, really. I mean, out of everything that we're going to discuss, which is going to entail news that have just popped up, trending items that are a hot topic, movies, music, we're going to talk about video games, we're going to talk about science, we're going to talk about the latest discoveries that are happening, we're going to talk about, or try to talk about, culture and politics.
I don't think we're going to go too far on that one, to be honest, but we will try. We will try our best. The idea is basically that we want to try and build a podcast that is we class as a monthly itch. What we're going to do is we're going to separate it in certain sections. So, of course, you know, not everyone's got the same music taste as me and my friend Joe here.
It's a damn shame. It'd be a better world if they did.
Very much so. In fact, I can completely concur on that one. But if you aren't into the music or aren't into certain news stories, we're going to separate them into 4 different sections
so that you have the convenience of choosing at your leisure.
And also it means that we can talk about just not the same old stuff, and it just keeps ourselves entertained,
and it's just easier to manage, really. I mean, maybe you don't care what we have to say about science, because to be honest, you shouldn't, because like I said at the beginning, we're idiots.
We're very much
In fact, whilst we're on that subject, I think right now off the bat we have to put out a disclaimer.
Disclaimer's always good,
because anything said under the umbrella of this show from myself and from my partner here, Rich,
very much so,
we must state so clearly, and we couldn't overstress how much you need to pay attention to the words.
But you are overstretching this quite considerably.
It needs to be, because this is a disclaimer of huge magnitude, because the things that we're going to say is really going to make some people confused, angry, fearful, slightly aroused. It's
we can only hope. Yeah. And we can't control the slightly aroused people, can we, really?
Well, if they'd like us to, that can be arranged afterwards. Our email address will be coming up at the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
And yes, it will be.
What I want to say is, between the two of us, it's gonna get raw. It's gonna get touchy. Things could possibly... Well, that's back to the arousal part of the...
I know, I was not part of this meeting.
You're getting awfully hung up on the arousal.
I am 12, the touchy bit, you know. I know you've been smoking something quite nice and sweet next to me, but the next thing I'm going to hear is that jazzy type guitars and the old wow. Yes, you know. Where you
Get
got
some saxophone horn in there.
Oh, great. Some instrument that really irritates me.
You're not a fan of the saxophone?
There is no way in hell. There's that chap from Emperor, I can't remember the name of his band, black metal musician.
Emperor.
Yeah.
I can't remember, I'm blanking.
It begins with an I, and for those, we do know our music.
Ishan, how's it going?
We're just drawing a blank on this one.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
It happens.
It does, very much so.
There's so much stuff that I have accumulated in my head, it just takes far too long to retrieve that information now.
Very much so. But he used a saxophone. it's like black metal music, but it's got a saxophone. And I'm a big fan of black metal music.
Is this part of his Emperor band? Or part of it?
No, it's his solo stuff.
His solo, okay.
Right, as I said, the name, I'm sure everyone's now, all those people going, oh, this is so
I'm
and
not
so.
so sure it's going to be as many people as you imagine.
Ishan, how's it going?
Well, they're playing, he's actually playing at Bloodstock, so it may well be. I've actually seen the band twice, but I really can't remember the name of it. And it's not one of those black metal bands that, you know, have that kind of font that you've got to use as a magic eye type thing.
Okay.
You know, band
You're talking
logos.
about the way that the logo is spelt, or so, or the
Yeah,
artwork, where it's
yeah.
not all that extreme scratches and scrawls.
The thing is, I'm in an extreme metal band. I've been in many bands as well. I can never, even if I really enjoy a band. You know when you used to have to, you know, the magic eyes, or am I?
No, I know the pictures that you have to kind of like squint, or
it's
cross-eyed,
like,
and suddenly it becomes 3D.
Very much. And what you meant to have done with those ones were like put it close to your nose.
Yeah, you meant to get up really close to it so that your eyes kind of go inwards or something, so
And
it starts
then
blurring,
draw it
and
out.
slowly pull back the picture. Yeah,
And then you see like a sailboat or something like that.
it's a schooner.
Schooner.
Oh, well, if you stare at this poster for a few seconds, a hidden picture appears. Can we do it, please, please? All right, go ahead. But hurry, the Easter Bunny's waiting.
Wow, it's a schooner.
You dumb bastard. It's not a schooner, it's a sailboat.
A schooner is a sailboat, stupid head.
You know what? There is no Easter Bunny! Over there, that's just a guy in a suit!
Referencing Clerks, I believe, on that one.
More rats.
More rats. Stupid of me. I told you.
The information's there. I know you know it, but it's just every now and then there's a cross line.
Yeah,
we
well,
can't help it.
Kevin Smith films there is many cross lines, to be honest.
Very true. With his View Askew universe, it's easy to confuse.
Very much so. But, you know, like a lot of these extreme metal bands, they've got a lot of scratchy type things, and I have to literally physically, they've either got to do it as idiot proof as possible for me, which is basically have the logo and then have it written in a very Times Roman type
It has to
font
be printed in
underneath.
Microsoft Word, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. You've got three choices: Calibri, Times New Roman, or that one that looks like a haunted kind of.
I don't care just as long as I read it, but you know, it's that's going back to something else. But yeah, saxophone, not my favourite instrument, to be honest. But as we're digressing, this is how it normally goes with ourselves, because as I said,
set out on one path and meander onto about four, end up winding up in a big ass circle back at square one.
Very much so. But what we're going to do, this is episode 1. This is what I would class as an intro. This is just informing people, just having a basic discussion.
Yeah, if anything about the last 3 minutes of conversation was to go by, that's pretty much the level.
Yeah.
We start off really well
planned
with a sort of structure, something that we're going to do professionally so it sounds good, and then we end up just talking about stuff that leads on to other stuff, which leads on to other stuff, at which point we go, whatever happened to what we originally were trying to say?
I think originally we're trying to say is we're two dumb fucks.
With a huge disclaimer we must make right now.
I think we got to put a disclaimer somewhere on the actual site.
It's got to be plastered all over the place, because we're now, because of this disclaimer, pretty much untouchable. We've got carte
I think
blanche.
so.
We can say whatever we like because we put a disclaimer out there saying we're two idiots who barely have an opinion worth listening to, so we say a lot of stupid shit that might offend.
Well, true, very, very true. And I'll tell you something, the next subject that we may be getting onto in a second, just before I explain roughly what we're still about, which is still the intro, might actually need a disclaimer anyway.
Oh, really?
Yes, I will get into that in 1 second. I just need to quickly explain.
Can we just get on with it?
Because this is quite important. So basically, you know, we're going to this is a monthly itch, so we're going to put it into 4 sections, and it may randomly change throughout the time. This is just a trial by fire, basically.
We want to see if this method is a good method for you to consume and actually enjoy the show with.
Very much so. And for example, every single month, me and Joe are going to explore looking at a hot band at the moment that's currently in the scene. And this month, we've got a big one. We've got a monster of a band that me and Joe personally know and big fans of.
Huge fans. Love the guys in this band.
So if you want to listen to music, news, what's latest, then of course click on the SoundCloud, choose the subject that you want. If you want to hear us just talking about stuff, we've got some latest news on this one. And as I said, we've got different subjects each week for you to check out. So if this random conversation doesn't take your fancy, maybe check out the other side of the actual monthly itch.
Because we're going to be breaking this into small segments and released weekly, hopefully, so that you've got your full monthly itch.
That's right. Because a monthly itch is nothing to do with sexually transmitted diseases.
What?
I got an email last week, which I've seen before, which is the question of why does my anus itch?
Welcome to the monthly itch news. Please understand, before these idiots start, this was a reaction of information from 26th July 2015. Joe and Rich are discussing information that was available at the time. This was information of audio that had came out of a podcast interview that was believed to be the reason of the racist allegations against Hulk Hogan, which we believed was reason Hulk later got fired from WWE. Monthly itch reaction was from that. Later came to light of a transcript from the sex tape that was leaked, which we had not became aware during this story. These updates have come to light now and will be discussed in a future episode. Monthly Itch still want to air this episode as we believe it has some good points and opinions. Now here are those idiots discussing this topic.
So let's start about
We're
a conversation.
moving into the proper subject
We are
matter
moving
that we prepared.
into, yes.
Holy hell.
And it wasn't about black and death metal logos, because that conversation
is going to be covered in another podcast coming soon at you.
We're talking about another passion of mine.
Tell me, brother.
This guy is a real American. In many ways, he has.
Does he fight for the rights of every man?
Oh yeah, it's been hard to live with, man.
I don't know, but like many real Americans, he's got sex tapes on the internet.
You're not the same. I'm an American. You're a sick asshole.
Wow. Now the field of options before me to choose from are completely open. I don't know who you're going to mention.
I know,
now.
is there? And he's been claimed to have steroids abuse when he was early in his career.
To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Mr. Hogan himself.
I will always be the man, brother.
Terry Bollea?
Hey, you know the name.
Better known to the masses of people around the world. Mr. Hulk Hollywood Hogan.
You had to go down a Hollywood section.
You don't know what era of fan listening is known to the Hulk. Some people know him as the real American. You and I know him as the real American Hulk Hogan. Some people know him as Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Some people know him as just that guy from the commercials to do with vitamins and milk.
And some people don't actually know him or don't actually care. But this is not about wrestling, right? As much as I could speak for absolutely hours.
Couldn't be about wrestling, considering he is probably the most known wrestler of all
Hulkamania is running wild like it's never ran before.
time.
Yes, but as I said, I don't want us going into a certain section where they think we're just talking about wrestling. As much as that could be a subject that we may actually later explore, because
he's wearing his Progress Wrestling T-shirt and dying to start ranting about the latest goings on at what was the last WWE pay-per-view that just happened? Was it
Battleground?
Battleground.
Yes.
Oh, good grief.
And we can talk in depth, and we may do a sports one just for the wrestling fans out there.
But that's not going to happen right now.
No, but this is actually a current event that's just come up. Whether it's speculation, I have no idea. But Mr. Hook, you do it best.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Hollywood Hulk, 36-inch python, running wild on you, brother. Hogan.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Yes, the one and only, the one that is stuck in... Yeah, I have to be honest here, right? I love my wrestling, as you know, but there's certain... You know when you hear those stories of, when schools used to bury time capsules?
Yeah.
And then they dig it up and they're like, fucking hell... like you're talking about the Atari or something being dug up and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And they're like, this is really fucking, look at it. That's how I feel about Hulk Hogan. He keeps on coming around.
Hey, Doc! Where you going now? Back to the future?
Nope. Already been there.
And I'm sorry, I've never been a big fan of him, but it's kind of... well, basically, it's just a personal opinion. Just never was into him in the early days. But I have to be honest with you, despite whether I'm a fan or not, this current news story, it's a shocker. It really is.
Is it? Really, you're shocked by this?
I'm a bit pissed off about it, I have to be honest.
Well, it just takes so much to shock and surprise me nowadays because, thanks to the internet and being able to now read every single exposed nasty bit of information out there, I'm now so desensitized and used to this kind of stuff. I no longer find it surprising or shocking. However,
this story...
This is my man Hulk Hogan.
I love those Hulkamaniacs, brother.
Yeah, but I think we've just described Hulk Hogan about a million times. We've actually not delved into the actual news story itself.
Well, would you like to illuminate the people?
Okay, basically, he has actually been stripped from basically the WWE network.
The whole of their...
We don't know
how...
We don't know the extent at the moment because
so,
it's
are we
still...
talking they've taken down matches from their pay-per-views? Are they all of a sudden taking that moment in WrestleMania 9, taking his match out, or when he turned up at the, I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's fairly old and you should have seen it by now. But his two moments at WrestleMania 9, are they going to have on the WWE Network the whole still of WrestleMania 9, but with those things cut out, or they've taken off the whole show?
It's like it's a fresh turd at the moment.
Where are your brains, in your ass?
Right, it smells quite bad, but no one actually knows who's actually done it yet.
Boy, what in the hell's the matter with you?
Okay, because I've heard that already it's gone to the extent. And again, these are all just rumours because this is new stuff just happening now, so we've had no concrete, solid news come back to confirm any of this. So at the moment, we're just dealing with speculation here right now. Can we just...
Disclaimer, once again, this is all speculation.
Well, I just want to make sure that people know that this isn't fact. We're talking about a rumour which really is nothing more than an interesting thing.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
I think it's interesting because basically what's actually happened is Hulk Hogan done... they class it as a racist rant online. I saw this... I showed this to you earlier, actually.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. I actually hadn't listened to the audio excerpt from which all of this drama is apparently based on, according to rumour.
Yes.
Again, this is rumour.
Well, the fact is, it was a rant that was going on there, and there's no visual content. It was just audio that I've actually heard.
Well, it's an excerpt from some form of other podcast he was on, wasn't it? Or was it part of a show, a radio broadcast that he was on?
Once again, I'm actually not too sure. I tried to look into it, but it does actually sound like a podcast like ourselves.
Yeah.
Because it sounds very casual and informative.
And so off the record. Like, Hulk is... What's the term that they use? Is not so much shooting, but he is just being himself. He's relaxed. He's not got the persona or the weight of having the WWE company behind him. So he's got a...
Hulk's always got a persona. He lives with that persona. He's probably wearing his tights as he's going in talking to people.
He's got his feather boa wrapped around himself.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Now
he's got a silly fucking bandana or whatever it's on his fucking head. So the whole bald issue that he can't live with.
No one has rocked. See, there's a man who sort of rocked the skullet before Devin Townsend got in there.
That is very, very true. But I tell you something, sometimes you've got to put the skullet away. Even Devin Townsend decided one day he looked like an ostrich with a skirt on. And he just was like, I can't be rocking this anymore. And Hulk Hogan, I at one stage, I actually believed if he took the bandana off, that the hair would come off as well. I thought...
You thought it was all one
I thought it was all wired in or something. But anyway, we're moving on. Basically, he done his racist rant, and WWE has actually, from rumor mill, has actually fired Hulk Hogan
and removed him from the show. Tough Enough, where he was on the panel of judges.
He was with another wrestler, British female wrestler called Paige.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho was part of it. Booker T as well. And basically, there's something that's come up. Basically, well, I said basically a bit too many times, but
we just get on with it.
The fact is, in a roundabout way,
cutting to the chase.
There was
not beating around the bush, getting straight to the point.
Thank you very much, Joe, for
focus.
You are absolutely right. You do suck.
As I was saying, this gets harder and harder the more you smoke, my friend.
So the racist rant that Hulk Hogan went on has now made him be basically erased from the WWE Hall of Fame and history, it looks like. Basically, we're looking at a similar scenario to when Chris Benoit murdered his...
Oh, no. That is a complete different ball.
He's been erased from the books.
We don't know whether he's being... I don't think he's going to get his actual videos or anything he's done in the past.
I thought all of his merchandise had been recalled. I thought it was no longer available.
Yeah, but that's a future merchandise type deal he had. He still may be in the new WWE game.
Let Mortal Kombat begin!
Because that's all been passed through, and I don't think they're going to take away all his WrestleMania moment and all that kind of stuff. I reckon all the network side and all the videos and all the vault will continue with his stuff. I just personally think it's here and now that basically he went on his talk show and, okay, this is what it sounds like, okay, and I'm just gonna shoot the shit here. It sounds like there was two other black presenters, right, just casually talking about something.
Well, not even so much casually. From what I heard from that audio excerpt, they were having a laugh and a joke.
Exactly.
Like, they were enjoying themselves and the topic of conversation they were covering, which was basically his overuse of the word brother.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if
he does overly use quite a bit.
It's his catchphrase, man. Like, every wrestler has a gimmick and a catchphrase or a stance or a finishing move, something that makes them unique unto themselves.
Brother.
Very much.
We are all familiar with all of Hogan's various ways
he is
of
one of the biggest superstars I think WWF and WWE have ever had. I mean, so much so that he was one of the originals going back to our day, and he's still that name today. So, like, you know, kids are now enjoying this. And
guy.
even really shitty movies could not take the man down.
Hey, I will not have Suburban Commander sullied in my presence.
If you see that, or Tropical Thunder, I believe is one of these other films.
Mr. Nanny, I highly enjoyed as a small child, and only as a small child.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so
so he was in this conversation.
He was in
with
this conversation.
Two black guys. And basically, they're kind of, you know, it's America, so you've got to take it into the context that it's very kind of much more racially sensitive than I think the majority of Europe. And, you know, despite how many cultural differences or tensions that might exist in our own country, we're all pretty much okay. And it's a safe issue.
That's true.
I don't want to say safe-ish. I think I'm phrasing it in the right way. I'm just saying there's a certain extra emphasis on culture and race in America than there is in other parts of the world. So because of that mentality, they're having this conversation, laughing and joking about, you know, that was kind of like one of the words that, you know, our culture kind of had adopted. Hey, brother, you know, how's it hanging, brother? And then here you come, you know, coining it as a kind of surfer dude. Hey, brother. Hey, dude, how's it hanging? And, you know, they're having this nice riff about, isn't it funny how differences, you know, they take a word and they adopt it in their own way.
Very much so.
It leads in this conversation, having a good time about it, having a joke and a laugh, where all of a sudden they say, you know, does anyone ever call you on it? Like, have you ever been in a social situation where a fan or a celebrity or someone on the street kind of like, you know, treats you or has noticed the differences or similarities, between, you know, the urban culture or black community using it in that way as opposed to this, you know, surfer white dude?
I think the problem is I understand where you're explaining it, but let's just shoot the shit here, because I thought about doing this story, right? But the one word that we cannot mention in here, right, is still very, very. I was kind of, because I don't really give a shit what people think. I really don't.
Strangers with this kind of honesty make me go a big rubbery one.
I have my opinions, and if people don't like it, then, you know, sorry, that's it. I don't really give a shit. But the fact is, I really stumbled upon this subject because what we're talking about,
it's racially sensitive. That's why.
It's not the brother. It's the N word, and this is where we're going to. I was actually questioning myself whether or not I should actually say it, just because, you know, that is what we're actually talking about. But the thing is, I do believe that it doesn't matter whether you say it or not. It's the contents that words can be used in, and of course, for a long time, that word has been used in a very
negative, derogatory.
Yeah, and I think the black community, I'm talking, here's two dumb white guys talking with a mic in front of them. So we don't know how hard it is in that kind of community, especially in America, as you were saying. And I think the black community actually took it back.
Hey, where are the white women at?
And the Hulk Hogan situation was basically, they were talking about, when you say brother, we think it as you're saying the N word.
No.
Before,
that's not it. No, that's not it. That's not interpreting brother for, you know, the derogatory slang word that I'm not brave enough to mention because I just don't want to say it out of personal choice.
As I say,
basically, what happened is because they're going my brother. Then all of a sudden, Hogan finds himself, you know, with certain black celebrities that are calling him, you know, ma, so and so, and you know, as these.
You're
guys,
talking about basically as a black wrestler called Booker T,
yeah.
And during one of these promos many moons ago, he actually called Hulk Hogan is going to be my N-word.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
In a promo, which is a shoot that they actually do it for those who are not familiar with the wrestling community.
It's a little story building moment to hype up their match.
Exactly. And ever since, Hogan goes on talking about this, and seriously, you will be able to find this on YouTube. It might give you a bit of understanding what we're going on about. And the thing is, the black presenters, they're laughing, joking. None of them were offended. And
didn't seem it from
what Hogan said is, well, if a black guy turns around to me and calls calls me an N-word, then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say it as well, because it's been saying so much to me that I am a N-word.
Well, even in the beginning of when he's explaining it, he says he didn't even know if he should. He felt uncomfortable and stuff, and before long it was just like it slipped out.
Because all the black wrestlers were calling them he's
and for
N.
for me, that's just cultural migration. Like we all do it. Like we've spoken about being in love with certain accents from around the world, and if you're in the presence of someone who has an accent that you enjoy, you end up slipping into it from time to time.
That is true. You know, when you do, it's not offending if you turn around and, you know, in the previous conversations we've had many times privately, we were talking about how basically if you're going to Ireland, Scotland, or anything like that, your natural accent sometimes gets changed. I know definitely for myself, and I know you said similar situation to you as well.
I love so many different accents, and I go straight into it without even realizing it.
Yeah, and would that be classed as a similar thing, even if it's done in the most innocent way? And this is what I think
because there was
the story will come to.
Nasty. There was no negativity behind saying it, and as you were saying a little moment ago, it is about the intent behind the word, as it were, and it's all about context. And I think used in this, I think I think the word's offensive just in general. So I can think of people who just hear it and instantly get offended, no matter what context it's in, because it just has that kind of horrible connotation for them.
Well, you're saying this, then I'm going to pose a question to you, my friend.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Do you think WWE were right to do what they've done, which is basically just stripping of being a judge on
it's completely scrubbed from their company, it looks like, and almost to the point of fired if these rumours are to have any kind of truth to them whatsoever. But do I think what they did was right? Again, it's this can't be an informed opinion, because this is all, again, rumour. So based off of just these loose facts, I'm going to say it's fucking retarded. It's so ridiculous.
I think so as well.
If
because
it really is off of that audio and it was used in that context and that is what it was all about, then it's just like, wow, how sensitive are these companies being, where they feel so afraid that off the record, because I don't imagine this was in any type of way promotion for the WWE company. I imagine this was just something that Hogan did to,
of course,
forward his own career, because it's the reason he had a reality TV show. It's the reason he's now a judge on Tough Enough.
And the sex tapes.
Hey man, if that's your bag.
Hey, I've not seen them. I've seen a lot of other ones, and to be honest, that put me off of seeing Hogan, because, as I said, I can imagine. The steroids. What they're meant to do is they're meant to like shrink the old members. Yeah. And there's nothing worse than seeing the old saggy man type thing going down, and I can taking these clothes off and then suddenly taking off that bandana with that fake wig around it, and it's almost seeing Friar Tuck fucking another person. It won't do anything for me on that one.
That's horrifying.
It is.
Ripping his t-shirt off as he comes.
Oh, no.
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you.
That's how our conversations go, my friends. So,
but back to subject. No,
yes.
If any of this has any kind of validity to it, then I think it's a fucking disgrace.
No, I think so.
You had to go to Chris Benoit levels before to be treated in that kind of regard by the company.
No way. Yes way.
That's true.
To be scrubbed. And
do you think it may be?
Hogan said the N-word, and Booker T on live TV, on the company's channel, said it. And it's okay because
he's black.
He's
yes,
black, and
very much.
In a way, his culture owned that word. But it's
you do hear
it's not like a Michael Richards situation.
No,
you remember that?
Oh, geez, that was something completely different.
Now, if he'd have done something like that,
yes,
and all right, we all know that it was a fucking stupid thing.
You
for
might
him
need
to do.
You might just need to explain in case people aren't aware of it.
I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
A quick recap of it, as quick as brief as possible, is Michael Richards is an American comedic actor. He's been on SNL skits and various other shows throughout the late 80s, but his rise to fame, complete stardom, was made by the TV show Seinfeld, where he played Kramer, the kooky next door neighbor. Now Seinfeld lasted.
Too kooky.
Seinfeld lasted for 9 seasons, which may have been 10 or so years, I believe.
One of the biggest running US shows.
I am a huge fan of it. It
very
deserves.
much so.
I was sad to see it go, but great to see Larry David back doing Curb Your Enthusiasm. But anyway, back to Michael Richards. After the Seinfeld humongous mega hit that it was, of course the actors got typecast, and he fell, unfortunately, into a bit of a decline because no one could see him as anything other than Kramer, this character from Seinfeld. And so I don't know how many years later on it was after the end of that show, but when he wanted to go back into stand-up to try and get his career going again, I guess because the star had faded from Seinfeld enough for him to be recognised as something else, he just didn't seem to hack it as much as he thought he could on the stand-up mic, because he ended up going on a humongous improvised racial attack against some members of the audience.
Is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.
Where he said some incredibly
I like risque comedy. I like aggressive comedy, but this was so.
It was shock. He went for shock value, but he did it in a way that was so tasteless. Absolutely, there's no justification for the comments and the way he spoke and the things he said. There's no excusing it, unfortunately. Now, just because you can be like, I forgive it, because this is something that I find fascinating about the mindset of an artist, a creator.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, English, giant, twerp, scumbag, fuckface, dickhead, asshole!
Because, stand-up comedy is something I absolutely love and adore, have done for many years, and so I find how they put these acts and shows and jokes together fascinating. So I know that for a stand-up comedian like Michael Richards, trying to get back into it, every now and then you lost touch with what people and the audience want, or what the climate of the type of comedy that people like to enjoy, and so you lose it. You think, I don't know, my stuff isn't working that I'm coming up with myself. I don't know what it is I can do. Let me just say some random shit that comes to my head that's just going to shock and get attention or something, and maybe that will work.
You're a cunt now. You've always been a cunt. And the only thing that's going to change is you're going to become an even bigger cunt.
And it completely backfired.
It goes back to the controversial sales, there's no such thing as bad news type thing. But on this one, this was I'll tell you something, you have to be very, very immoral to not be offended by the stuff, even from two, as I said, dumb white people talking about it.
Yeah, who have no right to really comment on it. Well, seriously comment upon it. We can bullshit between ourselves and have an opinion, of course, but it's for better men than us to cast judgment, I guess. But yeah, if Hulk Hogan had gone the Michael Richards route, and that audio excerpt that I've heard, was in that vein, then I'd be like, all right, you dependent on what the reason and justification, like do you remember Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Yes,
the big dog.
Good theme, done by Ozzy.
Yeah, loved the show for a number of series
until
you heard the story of what happened to Dog, which was I'm going to really be loose on the facts here, but didn't one of his daughters, of which there were many, she brought a black guy home, and he wasn't too happy about it.
I think him and one of his sons was rumoured to slightly kicked off because of that. But as I said, the thing is, we can go on through the racial issues. Coming back to the news story itself, I think we're agreeing definitely
that WWE overreacted.
It was an overreaction. Hogan, in all fairness,
he's an institution, man.
He's not an institution. He's a fossil from a time before.
How dare
and no,
you.
I know, because the thing is, it's the thing is, like for example, certain generations called black people coloured.
Older generations. When
older
immigration
generations
was first starting to happen, and there was big racial tension.
Exactly.
Yes, we're all aware that
Is that as bad as the N-word? It probably is, because it was a slur that came out.
Aye.
Right, but that was that generation, and I still go, because of course my job working in the mobility and engineering sector, I go to a lot of older people and they still use that word because it's natural to them.
I think we've all got that one grandparent who still just talks as though it is back in the kind of 50s era.
Exactly, and we've been brought up with a lot of ethnic minorities around us.
Well,
and
not so minority now.
No.
I think you'll find we are now the minority.
Pretty much, just because everyone else is fucked off to Spain.
You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers.
So, but no, all I'm saying is, I have to say, due to maybe the age, and it probably was, this is a day where, if you think of a generation that Hogan was in, Booker T was actually doing it randomly,
But see, it wasn't even in that context though. Like, if you're trying to explain that he's
I'm saying
of a
about
generation,
I'm saying about
age,
the word itself.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying about, this is a time where Richard Pryor was a big
God rest his
comedian.
soul.
Yeah, the master himself. And how many times did he mention the N-word?
It was half his show.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say it's probably more than that, and even, you had the Eddie Murphy Delirious, and you think about that, and, it's...
Eddie didn't use it as much, nowhere near.
Not nearly as much.
Pryor ruled it for that.
But the thing is, that was them almost like retaking the word back, and it was a big pride thing of going, we're going to take that back because what it stood for in the past.
Yeah, but aren't we past that now? Like, you're bringing up a very good issue where throughout the generations it's been used as one thing and then readopted to mean something else, and now in this exact moment, present day, in this cultural climate, isn't it just used to sell hip-hop records?
It is very prone to hip-hop music, isn't it?
Like, in all seriousness, like, hasn't it now kind of had all its power taken away? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still...
Fight for power, NWA.
And even then, you're going back to the... When was NWA 90s or late 80s?
90s, I believe, early 90s.
Right. Even so, you're talking about something that would happen nearly 20 years ago,
Exactly.
2 whole decades, and nowadays, I think it's more seen in awe for what it's gone through over the stages of the history than it is actually to offend now.
Okay, I completely understand what you're actually saying there. Let's just round this up a bit. Let's just I think we both agree. Yeah, WWE. Overreaction,
Big
definitely.
Overreaction. Massive overreaction.
As we said, I think it's always a tone that it comes across.
Yeah.
If you're making it...
It's the intent.
It is very much. And I think basically as Hogan... Hogan himself.
Hulk racist.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
It's a different Hulk.
Yeah.
The incredibly racist Hulk.
It's not easy being green.
Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you'll find?
A picture of me?
No! The definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are.
But no, I personally, what I think is basically he's had a few too many blows to the head, and he's from a different time. And
You're talking about his sex tape again.
Yeah. As I said, I haven't seen it, but I can imagine he's had a few. Like, was it a gay sex tape as well?
Oh, shut up!
No, I'm not
that
too
there's
sure.
anything wrong with that. I'm just saying no. This is Hulk Hogan we're talking about.
I don't know.
He left his wife to have an affair with his daughter's friend.
Was it?
Did you not know about that?
I just knew there was one going. That's a subject for a different day.
I don't know if you've ever watched his reality show, Hogan Knows Best. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but basically there is this incredibly creepy undertone of a sexual desire that runs through that household because of how much Hogan leeches and leers and touches and
so he doesn't know best. That's how we're saying it right now. Actually, completely agree. Right, he doesn't know best. Right, he knows fuck all, and really sometimes, you know, as I said, the steroids, the head concussions.
Are you saying Hulk Hogan isn't all there and therefore that excuses his behavior?
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
If it was, as I said, if it was done in a very negative way, I got no excuse for people with that kind of mental focus upon that, you know, just throwing shit like that out. But personally wise, I think he was just shooting the shit with some mates of his, and I think he wasn't thinking about the bigger picture, that he is a celebrity and he's status, and
he's got a big public eye on him where he has an image to uphold.
Yeah, very much so. And I to be honest, as I said, I actually do feel sorry for him, because I don't think there was nothing, you know,
that man, wrestling is that man's life, and you've just taken it away from him.
It's definitely not him in films, really, is it? For fuck's sake.
He wasn't ever going to win an Oscar anytime soon, but let's give them
or reality shows, that's for fucking sure. Reality knows fuck all.
Yeah.
Oh
dear.
But
It's
okay,
sad to say, because I absolutely worship that man as a boy, and despite anything that's happened through the politics, through just career choices, he's always going to be one of those
real American,
real
creepy old dinosaur, real American.
He fights for the rights, and he fights for our lives,
and he fights for all those lovely teenage daughters' friends. I'm gonna chase that one up, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yes, because at the moment we've kind of put to bed our main issue, which was, is Hulk Hogan a racist? Or should he have even been treated the way he was by the company that he helped build, basically?
Yeah, and this is another part of what we're actually doing as well as a podcast. Basically, there is social network sites. We got our Twitter site up.
We have our Facebook account.
And we, you know, of course, you've got SoundCloud and all that kind of stuff. We're asking you, please, look, we don't want anyone being a dick. As straightforward. You know, we're doing this because we're mates and we're having fun, and we want to actually open a conversation in what we're interested in, and we
exchange of opinions and ideas and thoughts.
But of course, if you're a fucking dick, then you can fuck right off. If you've got an opinion and it's relevant and it's constructive, please go on our Facebook. Please bring your opinion to the forefront, and what we will do is, in a month's time, we may look at the actual Facebook account and the Twitter account, and we may discuss the reactions.
That would be something great to talk about. I think we could get some really good conversation going by actually engaging with people and hearing what they have to say on the subjects, because it's the only way, in my opinion, that we ever get to the truth or heart of something.
Right, I believe that is the end of episode 1. I have been Rich.
I've been Joe.
And this is the Monthly Itch.
That's all, folks.